Hello everybody, welcome to another tutorial. In this one we are going to be learning how to make an advanced platformer, an advanced scrolling platformer on Scratch. I believe, but I'm not sure, but I believe I might have done something really similar to this already, but if so, this one is going to be a lot more advanced, alright? So very recently I came up with some more advanced mechanics that I thought I should put in a video, that way you guys can put it in a project. First things first, I wanted to point this out, is that I'm going to be using these sprites here. Alright, and I went ahead and put links to them in the description, so if you guys would like to follow along using the same sprites and costumes and style as I am, I would love for you to do that. That way you guys can sort of have the same effect that I'm having in your game. So just for the sake of the tutorial, if you want to do that, I left a link in the description, that way you can download it. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm actually going to get rid of my scratch cat. Here's the first thing we're going to do. So the first thing you're going to want to do, and I made a separate sprite for these costumes. I just clicked hide, that way they are not a part of the game. These are just where I'm going to hold the costumes for now. But go ahead and create a new sprite, and we are going to call it map. Alright, and then go ahead and create another one, and let's call it player. No, not player. Alright, so real quickly, for player, I think I'm going to go ahead and use this king guy right here. I'm just going to, for simplicity, I'm just going to use 2 costumes, I think. That way we can sort of make it a little easier to work with. So, let's see. Yeah, this could be. Let's go ahead and see how this looks. So, I'm going to size him up a bit. I'm going to go 250. Nope. I'm going to go 350. Nope. I'm going to go 400. 400 will work. Let's see. Okay. So we can go back and forth between these two, and it looks like he's walking. So that's really all I needed. Next thing I'm going to do is, for our map, go ahead and set the size to 500. And we are going to copy over a tile. And so I'm going to go, let's see, where is it? I'm going to just get a square, just get a little chunk of this guy here and paste it in. And obviously, look, it's big, it's pretty big, so what we could do is maybe size it down a tad bit and try to keep it in the middle as best you can in terms of Y position. So in terms of up and down, try to keep it in the center, but then try and get your best to get it over to the edge right there. And go ahead and set the X to 0 and grab it and place it right down here in the bottom corner. So that's where we're going to have it start. This is going to be the start of our level here. So let's go ahead and make a simple, just sort of a simple platform. We're not going to create the entire level yet. We just want it to be enough for our player to stand and sort of walk in. So I'm going to say like this. And I'm going to do one more, that way there's a little bit of distance added. And okay, I'm going to leave it right here. Just going to leave it at that. Scroll, see, we have some more off screen, and I'm going to leave it right at that. Alright, and now let's go to code, and here's what we're going to do. We are going to start coding our map. So we can do this. We're going to say when flag is clicked, we are going to set our variable. Let's create one and call it level. This is going to be what, this is going to be how our map changes its levels and costumes and knows what costume it should be on and all that fun stuff. But for now, we're going to set level to 0 and go ahead and broadcast a new broadcast. We're going to call it level as well. Awesome. Now let's do this. We're going to say when flag is clicked forever, and let us change x by, and we're going to change it by a new variable, which we're going to call xvel for x velocity. Awesome. Alright, now we're going to say when I receive level, Let's change level by 1 and switch our costume to level. Switch costume to level. And we are going to have it go to where it is right now. That's exactly where we want it to be. So what this here is doing so far is, so we're setting level to 0 and broadcasting level. And actually what broadcasting level does is it switches to the next level. So really we see it change from 0 to 1. And the reason we're doing this in the beginning is so that we can initialize our level, and also there's not a costume 0. So if level is 0, there is no 0. So we're just going and increasing it to 1 from the beginning. So here's what we're going to do next. We're going to say when flag is clicked, we're going to get a forever block. We're going to do forever and if. Alright, and if we're going to get a greater than, we'll say if X position is greater than, and I'm going to do 955. So really, whenever your level goes, pretty much whenever you're walking backwards, your X position here actually increases. And I don't want them to be able to walk off the beginning of the map here. So what I'm saying is if X position is greater than 955, which is where it's going to start at, then we don't want them to be able to go that way. So if X position is greater than 955, we are going to set X to 955. And now what we're going to do is we're going to say this. When flag is clicked, forever. And we are going to set our Y position to, okay, and this is going to be a little bit more complex, but we're going to grab 2 subtraction blocks. We're going to put, nothing's going to go in this first one. And so go to sensing and backdrop number of stage. What we're going to do is click on stage and we're going to change it to player. And what we're going to do is set it to Y position. So Y position minus 100. And this is going to be an essential feature in our game. It's going to make our physics and our movement look a lot better, and I'll show you why. What it's going to do is whenever our player jumps, it's going to appear as though the camera is actually following our player. We're going to see the map kind of go down and then come back up as the player falls. So it's going to sort of look like there's an actual camera there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to say when I receive, and let's create a new message and we'll call it restart. So when I receive restart, and honestly just copy this one here. Copy the go to from right here. It's our starting position. We're gonna, when I receive restart, we're gonna go there. Alright, and so the next thing we're going to want to do is this. Before we go and code our player, let's create 2 sprites, alright? And these are going to be really important as well. It's gonna help us for sure. So we're gonna create one and we're gonna call it head, and we're gonna create another one and call it body. So for head, what we're gonna do is we are going to create this sort of oval shape right here, alright? And it's gonna go somewhat above our player. I would say about right there, more or less. Alright, and for our body, what we're going to do is we're going to do a square. It's not going to go, it should not go below the player at all. What it should do is it should connect to the head while going beside the player. Right in the middle, it should pass the player on both sides a little bit, but it should not get too close to the feet. So kind of like this. Alright, and so here's what we're gonna do. Let's go ahead and we are going to code our player. So let's do this. Let's go into our player, and we're gonna do this. When flag is clicked, and we're gonna go to front layer, and we're gonna go to 0, 0. So we're gonna pretty much start right in the middle of the screen. And we're going to say this. We are going to set, and let's create a new variable. We're going to call it yvel. We're going to set y velocity to 0. Alright, and we are going to set our rotation style to left and right. This is how we're going to make sure that our player is facing in the direction that we're walking. Alright, so what we can do now is this. We will say forever, and let's grab an if and else block. So we'll say forever if, then, and else. And inside of this, we're going to say if not touching map. So go to sensing, we'll say not touching map. What we're going to do is change yvel by -1. So just like this. Okay, and else we are going to set yvel to 0. And then we're going to grab another if, just a normal if. We'll say if key up arrow is pressed. What we're going to do is set yvel to 10. And then finally, for this one, inside of the forever, outside of each if, we don't want it inside of any of them, or it's not going to work. We're going to change our y by yvel. So let's go ahead and give this a test, because this is not dependent on the rest of these here to work. Actually, let's go ahead and oh, whoa. Okay, let's see. Am I controlling xvel anywhere? Hold on, let me see what my problem here is. Let's see. You should not be going anywhere over there. So, hold on 1 second. That's definitely not right. Oh, wait. Here's the problem. Instead of setting y, I set x. So, sorry. Set y to all this right here, not x. Okay. And real quick, let me actually just put all this down here. Actually, no. What I'm going to do is set our y to be like -200. So set your y to be -200. And what we should be doing is not going all the way up there. So I think the problem here is it has to do with the fact that there's no ground or something. Let me try that. Okay, so what we're going to do is, instead of -100, genuinely, I'm going to do -400. Nope. -150. -250. -100. Okay, so scratch this real quick. Don't do that. Make sure it stays at -100. Go to your player, and what we're going to do is actually put the player up high. We want the player to start from a higher position. Otherwise, the player pretty much spawns under our map. So as you can see, now what happens is we can jump. And what was important about this here is that now when we jump, you see the map goes down, so it almost looks like the camera is following our player. Okay, so I hope I didn't confuse you guys too much there. I know that was a little bit of troubleshooting, but let's continue where we were. So now that we have our jumping figured out, this should be the result that you have. And what we want to do next is this. Let's do this. We're going to say when I receive restart, and we're going to go to 0, 50. Bam. Alright, and we are going to set yvel to 0. And that's going to be it right on this one. And let's do this now. We'll say when flag is clicked, forever, if y position is less than -175. So grab a less than block, and we will just go up here to motion and say if y position is less than -175, we're going to broadcast restart. So restart. Awesome. Now let's do this. When flag is clicked, and we'll say forever, Okay, so when flag is clicked forever, and what we're going to do is this. We're going to point in direction, and then grab a subtraction block, and we'll say minus, and then place xvel in there. This is what's going to have us point in the direction of the way we are walking. And the reason we aren't directly doing point in the direction of xvel is because when xvel is positive, we are actually going backwards, and when it's negative, we're actually going forwards. So we kind of want to reverse it here as well. Because the reason for that is because our map is what's being moved, not actually our player. So here's what we're going to do now. We are going to say this. When flag is clicked forever, and let's do this. We'll say if, and then let's go ahead and grab an and. We're going to place it here. We're going to say, and we're going to grab an or and a not. Okay, so make sure it's like this. We have one and we're going to place the or inside this first chunk, and then the not inside the second one. And so we're going to do right arrow or left arrow. So if key right arrow, or if key left arrow. Where's that? There we go. So if key right or left arrow, and not yvel is less than -1. So yvel less than -1. What we then are going to do is say this. We are going to switch our costume to costume 1. And then we're going to wait, I'm going to say 0.05. And then next costume. Awesome. And then outside of all of this, we're going to set our costume to costume 1. So let's see if this works. Let's see. Okay, so nothing is happening. Let's see, is this true? No, this is false. And why is this false? Right or left arrow, and not yvel is less than -1. Yvel is 0, so that's true. And that's true. And so that's true. So what it should be doing is switching costume to -1 in the next costume. Maybe it should be 0.1. What's the problem? What's the big idea? Oh, my thing is frozen over here. Is it frozen? I can't tell. Maybe it's this. Okay, it was that. Okay, so 0.2. We'll do 0.2. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Yeah, instead we'll do, so add another 0.2. So there we go. So now we have walking. Okay, alright. Okay, now you can place this out there. It was because we didn't have a weight right here. This is just so that no matter what happens, you're going to go back to your default state of not walking. Okay, so actually, believe it or not, we are done here in our player sprite. So what we are going to do now is we are going to go to our head sprite. So what we're going to do is this. We are going to say when flag is clicked forever, show. When flag is clicked, show. And we'll say this, forever. And let's go ahead and set ghost effect to 100. Bam. And what that's gonna do is hide. It's essentially gonna hide. The reason we aren't using hide is because if it's hidden, it will not function as we need it to. It won't interact with collision and touching other sprites like we need it to do. So now what we can do is this. We're gonna go to, and we're gonna get this right here. And we're gonna say backdrop number of stage. What we're gonna do is change it to player, of course. We're going to do X position of player, and then grab an addition block, and we'll do Y position of player plus 45. Alright, this seems pretty fair if I do say so myself. We don't want it to be directly on top of our guy because he will likely get stuck if he jumps and hits a ceiling or something. So we want it slightly above. So, and now we'll do this. We'll say if, and then touching map. So if touching map, we're going to set yvel to -2. Perfect. Alright. Now, go to our body. And here's what we're going to do. Bear with me. This is going to be not so fun to do, but we got to do it. So, when flag is clicked, we're going to show. And then grab a nice big forever block. I know it doesn't look so big right now, but it's about to be. So, what we're going to do is we're going to set ghost effect to 100. Set ghost effect to 100, and then we're going to do this. We're going to say if key right arrow is pressed. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to change our x by 5. Change x by 5. And then we're going to grab an if and else. And we're going to say if touching map. Touching, yeah. So if touching map, we're going to set xvel to 0. So make sure it's xvel. And else, we're going to set xvel to -5. And then now we're going to change x by -5. And I'm going to explain all of this here once we finish up in this sprite. Okay, and so, yeah, we're going to, next what we're going to do is this. We're going to say if, and then key left arrow is pressed. So if key left arrow is pressed, we're going to change x by -5. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to say if touching map, set xvel to 0. The only difference is instead, in the else, we're going to set it to 5. And then finally, we're going to change x by 5. Perfect. That's exactly what we need. And now we'll say this. We'll grab an if. We'll say if, and grab an or. We'll grab a not. We'll say if not, and then we'll put the or in there, and we'll say key right arrow or left arrow, so you could just duplicate these two here. So if not, key right arrow or left arrow. What we're going to do is set xvel to 0. So this is going to say if none of these keys are pressed, there's no need for us to keep walking, so we're going to set the velocity to 0. Now we'll do this. We'll say if, and, okay, so if, and touching map, and, so let's grab an and. So we'll say this. We'll say if touching map, and xvel equals 0. So grab that equals, place it right there. So if touching map and xvel equals 0, what we're going to do is create a new variable, and we're going to call it rotation. And what we're going to do is we're going to set rotation to, and where is it? It's probably here. Oh yeah, so backdrop number of stage. Change it to player and direction. So set rotation to direction of player. And we're going to do this. We're going to repeat until, and then not touching map. So we're going to grab a not and duplicate this. We're going to say repeat until not touching map. And grab an if, then an else. Okay, and we'll say equals if rotation equals 90. We're going to set xvel to -3. And else, we are going to set xvel to 3. Okay. So, finally, alright, we're going to do this. When flag's clicked, forever and go to player. Alright, let me go ahead and explain what this all does. So, the reason we're not doing this in player is because the player is likely to get stuck if it bumps into walls. So what we are actually doing is this. So whenever you push the right or left arrow, what it does is first it goes forward. Before anything, it goes forward and sees, okay, if it's touching the map, that means it's touching a wall, since this is our body. So it goes forward. If it's touching a wall, it comes back and does nothing. It does not move the player at all. But if it's not touching the map, it means there is no wall in front of us directly, and it then sets xvel to 5 or -5, so it's allowing us to walk. And what it does is, because it is going ahead of the player, it is checking before the player actually hits it, and it is stopping us from hitting walls and getting stuck in walls. And this over here, this moves us according to the direction we're facing. So, for instance, if we do happen to be stuck like in a wall or something, it figures out which direction we were facing and throws us back and gets us out of there so that we're not stuck. And then of course it follows the player. So let's go ahead and press play. This is what you should have. You should now, okay, so it works, but this part here is currently running, and we can actually figure this out by stopping it. So if you're having this problem where you are gliding back, it is because your body is too close to the feet. So you got to move them up a bit. Alright. Again, we had the same problem here. You know, it should be touching your head up there. It should not, you know, be touching anything else. But for some reason it seems like it is. So let me figure out what the problem is here. If touching map and xvel equals 0, set rotation to direction of player, repeat until not touching map. And then, okay, so I guess what I'm having trouble understanding is, where on earth is it actually touching the map? Let's find out. Okay. Currently it's not touching map. There's no reason for it to be touching map, because it is very obviously not touching the map. Touching map. But it says it's true. It says it's true. How is it touching the map? Help me understand. You, my friend, are not touching the map. This is really weird. How about now? Are you touching map? True. Okay. That's weird. Let me figure that out. Okay, I feel kind of dumb after this. I know what the problem is. The problem was not in the map. The problem was that I have a tiny little speck right here. Okay, now let's try this out. Okay, so let's go up here. Oh, there we go. Now you see it. Now we can walk. Now we can jump. Now we can do all these things. So, try this. Now in your map, place one of these guys up here. And just try. We're going to put one up there, and we're going to put one down over here. So now what we're going to do is this. Let's see. Okay, I guess I got to lower it. Can you hit it? Bam, 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 bam. Ceiling collision. And can you? Perfect. You can't get stuck. You can go up here. Perfect. That is exactly what we wanted for it to do. And you can't jump through these, nothing. So now how you can go about doing this is you can now create your entire level however you want to make it, and once you get to the end, you know, you can set a trigger or something. If it's a color, you can set a color and say if touching this color, what you can do is broadcast level, and it'll go to your next level. So for each for each map, you just have a new costume. Alright, one thing I can say is this. What you could do is duplicate this for a background. And let me show you how. So create another one with the same code and everything and just do this. For instance, something like this. Perfect. And for the sake of it, so that we can watch it actually scroll and all that stuff, we'll just call this the sun. Where are you? Perfect. But here's this thing. Here's the kicker on this one. Instead of, let's see. Well, wait. Change x by xfill divided by 3, 5. Let's try 5. Okay. Well, now I don't know where the sun is. Let's put it accordingly, because, okay, yeah. So, bam. Now when you walk, yeah, now it almost looks like it's further away, because you can see it's moving slower. It's not moving as quick. So now you have a background, and you can set this to anything as well, and it'll go off screen. You can even do this for other sprites and other objects that you want in your platformer, and so that's one of the fun things about it. If you want to see how to do a coin or several coins or something like that, you could do, bam. But instead of this, what you do when flag's clicked forever, and you'd have to position it based on xfill. So for instance, xfill, and then I think you would have to do y position of map. So you do background number of stage, but actually what you want to do is map. You do y position. So for this, we do 55. No, let's do 100. No, let's do 500. No, let's do 300. Okay, we'll do 300. And then y position map plus 20, nope, 155. So, if you do it like this, now, okay, too far. 100. Now, okay, well, it kind of worked. Maybe you gotta do, well, I'm not really sure on that. Okay, wait a minute. So the problem that I was just now doing was for traditional RPGs. So not exactly. So wait a minute. So we got the Y position to work. So surely we can get the X position to work. There we go. Okay. Nothing to do with xfill. Boom. You can say this, and we'll just say like flag is clicked forever. If touching, we'll say body, player, body. So if touching player, hide. Watch this. And then, bam, there goes your coin. So obviously you can mess with that and figure out how you want to go about doing that. But yeah, you can add a foreground, you can add different background stuff and all that. But hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Hopefully it helped you out. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one.